Good afternoon. Welcome back to Cool Your Heels with Lillian on AMFM247.com and Passionate World Talk Radio. The world in your hands. Now, today's special guests are from a publishing company who publishes books for deaf babies and toddlers. And one of their ladies is deaf, so she has an interpreter. If you hear blank silence on the line, it means that it is being interpreted. Please don't go away. We will continue with the conversation. So, good afternoon, ladies. How are you doing?
Hi, this is Tina Jo, and Becky is interpreting for me. We're doing great. I wanted to mention our books are also for hearing babies, too, not just for deaf babies, for any babies.
That is awesome. I want you to know that my grandson is now 5, but when he was around 1 year old, his older sisters taught him sign language, and he caught on very quickly, and of course, it delayed his speaking. But he's okay now, so I know it works when you work with them at a young and tender age.
That is a really cool story that you have firsthand experience about that kind of training. When I had a deaf son born, I couldn't find any baby board books that actually had ASL that were available in the bookstore or even at the library. The ones that you find out there that were older usually have made-up signs for some vocabulary, or the sign would only show really small in the corner of the book. So that really inspired us to decide that we needed to do a better, newer kind of book for the mainstream. That's how we kind of came up with the ASL Baby series, the board books.
I think that's a great idea. Do you also work in hand with the babies who are blind and deaf?
No, hearing and deaf babies are our main audience. For blind babies, I'm not sure how they're read to or how their parents share books with them since they can't see them. But our motivation was because using ASL Bell with babies has become so popular, we wanted to make books that anyone could use.
Well, that sounds like a good idea. So how many books are out there, and which ones should parents start using first?
So the title of our series, the first book is called First Signs, and that's the one we published first. There's 6 books in the series, the ASL Baby series. The other titles are What Color, Playtime, Get Dressed, Let's Eat, and Outside. All of the signs are very familiar and possible to use with babies because it really reflects their world, their worldview, what they're interested in, a ball or an airplane or colors. They can relate to those signs and that vocabulary, so that's why we picked those topics.
So how do you go about working for people who are not familiar with universal sign language that has been adapted to a baby? How do parents go about showing their child how to start making the signs?
I wanted to let you know American Sign Language and sign language in general doesn't have a universal sign language. Just in the United States, they use English. In the United States, our signed language is American Sign Language. And it's not gesture, which maybe is what you're thinking of, that can be universal. So with ASL in the picture here in the United States, that would be a good thing to use because that's the language here. Parents can show the baby the picture of the ball and the sign or an actual ball, so it makes it very visual for the baby to learn.
Now, does the baby just learn a basic vocabulary, or do they learn how to put what they see into sentences?
They can do both. They can do both. And also, the English word you could spell in American Sign Language too, with the sign and the picture or the actual thing.
So when you're working with the child, he gets stimulation from the different ways he can express himself.
Exactly. There's an expression, babies learn to crawl before they walk. Well, babies also learn to sign before they talk. So developmentally, they're able to express themselves earlier in sign language than speech. So for example, you could avoid some terrible twos because they can actually express what their needs are.
That sounds pretty neat. Now, when you have a regular hearing child, is it different on how you teach them?
It's actually very similar. Just like you would teach any language to a child, repetition is really important, and consistency. And the picture is a big benefit, or the object, so the baby can really relate the language to their environment.
Now, when they're learning the language of the deaf, can some of them also make the sounds to go along with them?
I'm not sure I follow that question all the way.
Okay, some babies, I understand, even though they're deaf, they can still speak. And since your speaking is reinforced what you're hearing, are they encouraged to still speak, or are they encouraged just to be quiet?
It's been proven that when babies learn signs, they can identify and speak actually better and earlier because they have a better understanding of language in general.
Okay. So at what age do the books address? From infant to about 24 months?
It would be the similar age that you would want to read a board book to your baby. So yeah, from birth. Often you will see that people say wait and sign with your baby when they're 6 months or older, but really you can start to sign with babies as soon as they're born.
And that makes sense. I mean, when you look at what a baby can do, for example, in the water, he instinctively dog paddles, and they stay afloat. My child did. And he instinctively knew what to do. So I would think the same thing would be applied to what you're talking about, teaching a baby how to sign, so that when they get to be 3 or 4, they're pretty good at it.
And also, they found that IQs can be higher in babies who are exposed to sign language instead of babies who are exposed to a single language.
Is that because they have to use more of their cognitive reasoning with their brain than kids who just speak out loud?
Yes, and usually spatial language is first or can happen earlier than spoken language. For example, anyone who has a baby, it doesn't matter if they're deaf or hearing, you notice that an early thing they do is point before they can speak if the baby is hearing.
Yeah.
And I want to add one more thing. Hearing parents often, when they sign with their babies, they'll speak the word at the same time. If you have a deaf baby, you don't need to add that layer of language. So a little bit, there's a difference between deaf and hearing babies, how you introduce signs.
But I would think that you would at least make the image of the sign, of the letter, so they know what you're you're doing. They can follow what you're doing.
And by subject.
Yes.
Like our books are separated into playtime, so all of the playtime signs are related to toys and games and activities. And other books, like colors, for example, it shows all the different colored objects. So I think it helps also that the themes in the books lead them to understand the subject matter.
Interesting. So would this be a good time then to start teaching a baby a foreign language? Since the signs are similar, but they're not exactly alike.
Do you mean American Sign Language considered as a foreign language?
No, I mean by if the parents wanted to introduce them to Spanish or to French or another foreign language like that, would this also be a good time to do it? If they're brought up in a multi-bilingual home where, say, the father or mother is Hispanic and the other father and the other spouse is American or another culture?
Yes, that's why there are many bilingual families. Young age is the best time to teach language in general. And I'm pretty sure I'm not an expert for multiple spoken languages, but I'm pretty sure that applies in general. From birth to 3 is an important language time, and many children easily learn multiple languages all the way until they're 13.
I would think that would be a good time, and since our
they're
nation...
They're like sponges.
Yes, they are sponges, exactly. And since our country is being introduced to more than just English being spoken, I would think that it would be a really good idea for them to learn another language to sign so that they can be more hireable when they become adults.
Exactly.
Now, is it difficult?
Let me ask you, when you were asking earlier about deaf and blind children,
yes,
I wanted to say that maybe not blind children, but there are other groups of children like autistic children.
Yes.
It's very popular to use sign language in that group of children. So many parents really depend on those books with autistic children because they respond better visually.
Yeah, I would think something like this would
signs are easier than verbal communication.
Yes.
For that age and that kind of child.
Now, are you planning on putting this into computer language so kids can learn computers or tablets?
Well, there's a few things. First of all, we do have more signs other than what are in the book online on our website. For the 6 board books, we call it video support. So for parents who maybe aren't sure how to sign based on the book only, they can go to our website and see me. And I developed the books, and I'm a mom of deaf children, of a deaf son. I sign all of the vocabulary so parents can pick it up easily themselves. And then also we have a second resource there online of videos called 100 Signs for Parents. It's a little booklet that our publishing company has developed. Most of the time we give it away to people for free, or we'll send it to schools or different people to support them. People can buy them in sets, but all 100 signs are on our website also. So that's a lot of signs for parents to get started.
I would think so.
And also for emergencies, we have a booklet for first responders, those kind of people. There's 3 little booklets all together. So we have a lot of free sign language online that people can take advantage of.
I would think that there should be one in every doctor's office, pediatrician's office, and hospital. And because kids wind up in emergency for a variety of reasons, as you well know. And if they can understand what you're frantically telling them about, it makes it easier for them to treat the child.
Yes, that's exactly why we did develop those booklets.
That is truly great. Now, are you planning on publishing more books for these children, for these babies, to learn other skills? Or are you going to go into math or science?
I would love to. We just released the latest 2, and those are Playtime and Watercolor. We do have more. We always have some children's projects in the works. We also recently released in the last 2 years some beautiful fairy tales that are classics, but they are videos. So the series name is Once Upon a Sign, and there are 7 stories in that collection, like 3 Bears, Red Riding Hood, and all of those classic stories. We threw in some new twists, and we have a couple new stories too. Like there's one I particularly like called The Magic Mirror. Stone Soup, that's one that you don't always see in a classic collection. The Boy Who Cried Wolf. So those would be for kids who are a little bit older than baby and toddler.
Yeah. Well, that makes sense. I'm glad that you're pursuing it a little bit further, because I think that there are a lot of subjects that you can tackle and have really good results with. I know that some of these wonder kids start very early with their parents, and their parents believe that they're more than capable of learning new things at a younger age, because nobody has indoctrinated them that they can't do it.
That's exactly right. Just give them more and more.
And I think I'm just tickled that there's somebody who said, we've got to do something and change what has been the standard comment that deaf children, you might as well write them off because they're not ever going to amount to anything. So I'm glad to see that that philosophy has been changed.
Yes, in this day and age, we're getting better and better and better about that. But there's more to go. Parents have more resources today and many more role models and many deaf people that they meet. Very often, parents who have a deaf baby, the first deaf person that they meet is their baby. And so you imagine that that's a pretty confusing time for those parents. So our hope and goal is that no parent will have to feel like having a deaf baby is anything but normal.
Yeah, I agree with you. Could you please, Tish, tell everyone where they can find you on the web, how to contact you, and where to buy your books?
Sure. Our website address is www.dawn.com. So that's the web. On the web, there's a section called Children. That would be the easiest area to look at for new or young parents or parents who have a young baby. All of our children's products are there. They can order online. Most of our products also can be found on Amazon, but I would much rather people visit our web because I'm pretty sure they would find other things that they would find fascinating or interesting about ASL.
Terrific.
And any new products, they could hear from us. They could sign up to get emails, and we have a lot of other support materials online.
Now, is there somebody they can speak to if they need some advice or perhaps some counseling in handling their deaf baby?
We do have a social media page too, but for counseling for a deaf baby, we would be happy to try to help lead parents to their state organizations. Almost every state has an organization that helps parents, but that would be specific by state.
Yes, but I'm sure many parents do not know that there is help out there for them.
You are right. You're exactly right. So the first place that I would recommend that parents would go to, there is a organization called Lead K, and it's a national organization that focuses on prepping deaf children to be school ready. So kindergarten ready, that's the K part of their name. If parents have even much younger babies, it doesn't matter. There's still a wealth of information on their website about state services. So I think that would be a good place to start.
Excellent.
Another organization they could check is the American Society for Deaf Children. That's a wonderful national level organization that supports parents, and they have a website also.
Very good. Well, thank you very much. And ladies and gentlemen.
And ASDC, one more I wanted to add, ASDC has an area on their website where people can submit questions to get direct answers to their specific questions.
Awesome. And I suspect that you probably can direct parents as their baby grows where a deaf child or their parents can go for help when they get to certain ages and things get a little bit complicated from time to time.
Yes, that's a great view that you have. I think ASDC would still be a good organization for parents to contact for their older children, too.
Good. And before we go away and stray, Stanislaw Lem had this to say in 1962 on Unkempt Thoughts: when myth meets myth, the collision is very real. Thank you all very much for listening. You can hear this interview with the Dawn Press Sign all over again on AMFM247.com next Tuesday evening from 8 to 9 p.m. You can catch it over at https://passionateworldtalkradio.com under Cool Your Heels. You can hear it now on Alexa. You can also hear it on iHeartRadio and iTunes.com, Facebook, Twitter, Google+, and many other directories. So please go and take a listen, especially if your baby, boy or girl, is born deaf and you yourself are hearing. This is an exceptional way to make sure that your child is not left behind because they haven't learned to speak with their hands.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thanks
you. Thanks for the opportunity to have us.
And I will email you the stream when it is converted.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you again, Lillian.
You're very much welcome. And thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Until next time, have a great week.